everyone. If you want to be more involved in the show, please make sure to follow our account on Instagram at @therapistoutofoffice.
We will regularly ask questions that we will answer and dive into in our sessions on screen.
We want to make this collaborative between us and you.
Thank you for being here and enjoy the show. Welcome to Therapist Out of Office. I'm Leeor Gal.
I'm Maggie Leeor, and we're both licensed therapists in private practice.
Each episode, we will discuss mental health topics that are both mainstream and taboo, from both the lens of a therapist and a human being.
We show up with humor, authenticity, and vulnerability as we get into the educational nitty-gritty.
So come on in, make yourself cozy, and welcome to your session
outside of the office. Yo, Leeor.
Hey, Max. How are you?
Hi. Welcome to session 2.
Yay. What's this one about?
This one is all about friendships.
Ooh.
I know. We get into some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to be doing for this session is we put up boxes, like question boxes, on both of our social medias, on our Instagrams, and we asked you guys to ask us questions about friendships. So we have them all written down on our computers, and we are going to go through each of them. And what you'll see is that some of them we're definitely going to be able to get into, and then some of them even we are betwixt. Even we
betwixt.
Yes. Even we don't know 100% how to navigate. So you're going to get to see us as both clinician and as person with friends trying to figure some of this stuff out alongside you all.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a little bit stuck on betwixt. Why not like be Milky Way or like be
Snickers,
Reese's Pieces? Wait, is it Reese's Pieces or Reese's Pieces?
I don't know. I don't want to have this conversation.
Oh God,
I don't want to get myself in the weeds.
We opened up a can of worms.
Yeah, no, it's not. I can't have this conversation because I don't know, and I don't want to get yelled at by the candy lover community. Yeah. So yeah, all about friendships. My one little disclaimer is that I am recovering from a cold. I promise it's not the vid. I tested a bunch of times, but I have an 18-month-old child who is just a germ-infested little creature. So, you know, this is my second one this month. So, you know.
Wow.
So if you hear me like sneezing, or which I haven't been lately, so that's good, or coughing or clearing my throat, that is what it is. But I got the okay from Leeor to be here today.
We're 6 feet apart. That's all that matters.
Right. Okay, so let's jump into it.
Yeah,
What do you want to go for the first question?
Yeah. So first question: is it normal to not really have any friends? This is such a big topic because I'm always curious about what do our friendships really mean to us. What is the difference between quantity and quality of friendships? And also, if we're not losing friends, maybe that means that we're not growing up.
Yeah. I think that as we get further into these questions, we'll be able to dive even more into this. But yeah, I mean, it is really hard to maintain friendships because so much happens in life, so much growth and change. And I think with that comes also change of relationships and the people that you surround yourself with. So is it normal not to really have any? I don't necessarily like the word normal too much, but I would say I think it could be common.
Yeah. Or just, again, like I said, not to have a lot, right? Like what do a lot of friends really mean, and what do loyal, good friends mean to us?
Yeah.
I think there's a huge difference.
Yeah, and then it kind of begs the question, like, would you rather have a lot of friends or like a close 2 or 3 friends, or just like one really close friend, and what all that means? So, you know, I think we'll get more into that too as we continue to chat about this.
Absolutely.
But just to kind of normalize like this question, I think this question popped up a lot. Like, I don't really have a lot of friends, and but then it's like, how do you quantify that, and in what level of intimacy should your friends be, or you know, all that stuff.
You know, that's actually a good segue to our next question of, can the opposite sex be friends? Right? And I think this is more geared towards, you know, heterosexual relationships.
Yeah, I know. This is a tough one because I think we're going to get right into it with this one because we were chatting about this, you know, when the question popped into one of our question boxes. And it's a tough one because I think that I want to say, like opposite sex can be friends aside from, you know, sexual orientation. Like I want to say, yes, it's possible. However, I don't know. I guess everybody is so different with that.
Exactly.
Some people feel comfortable with that. Some people don't. And then it's also, do you have a significant other? What is their comfortability with you being friends with someone of the opposite sex? How do you really know how the other person feels?
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of layers there. I want to believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
I do have friends of the opposite sex that I believe are just friends. They've been my friends for years and years. So I think it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true for everybody.
No, those are all really good points, and I think that the level of intimacy is maybe a little bit different, right? And especially like you said, if you're in a romantic relationship with somebody and you have a friend of the opposite sex, what is appropriate,
right,
for the level of intimacy to have in the friendship,
right?
So I think that it's some people can, and some people, can maybe struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see it being something that people struggle with when they do have a significant other.
Yeah,
try to navigate through that. And I honestly just think that time can tell for a lot of those things. And that can be tough to navigate too.
It's really hard to navigate because you never know what somebody else is thinking. I think like you said earlier.
Yeah.
And you want to know, that your thoughts are pure, your thoughts are moral, and,
right. But that's the thing, like, you don't know unless somebody tells you that.
Exactly.
So, like, if there's no reason to believe that the other person is sexualizing you or wanting to be intimate with you in that way, then you just have to assume that it is genuine.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think that that's like a person-by-person basis. Some people are comfortable with that. Some people aren't. I do know as women, we are often told men don't want to be your friends.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, we, I think, also have a little bit of the apprehension of, like, what are your intentions here? And I think that that's probably across the board, too, for men. Like, that if their significant other has a male friend, the significant other might think, like, why?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that that's the point is that everyone is going to look differently here, and I don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all and one answer-fits-all type, response here, and that whatever works for you in your relationship is really just what works.
Right.
Making
so
sure
sorry, we don't have like a direct answer on this one.
Yeah, it's just about communication.
Yeah.
I think everything always boils down to communication.
And honesty and transparency.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's shift. Next one, friendship breakups, Leeor.
This is the toughest topic because this is something that we've all been through.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is so hard because nobody really talks about friendship breakups. We talk about relationship breakups. We talk about, what the loneliness that we feel from that, or the numbness and all the emotions associated with it, but we don't talk about the grief that deals with friendship breakups.
Yeah, it can be really, really devastating because, like we were saying, like, that level of intimacy within friendships can be really intense, and they can almost feel par with, if not more, with our friends than with our significant other because, from me speaking personally, like, I think that, yes, I can talk to my partner about parenthood and what it means to have a child together and the difficulties of that. However, I can't speak to him as a mother. Right. So, like, for me, there are mom friends that I have that I feel like I can, relate to more and divulge more to and, feel validated more, with my friends than with my partner, which is obviously no shade to him. It's just
different.
Yeah. Sheerly different.
It's just different. And I absolutely agree with you because I have topics that I want to talk to specifically my friends about, and not because I want to hide them from my husband, but because I just know that they'll bring me something different than I would, from. And I think that lends a big light to each friendship sort of means and brings us something different. Not every friend is going to look the same, and we're not going to gain the same things from each friend. But it is absolutely devastating when you have such a good friendship, such a strong bond, and it falls out. That is devastating.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They can feel really, really irreplaceable, when something like that happens. And, like we were saying, that intimacy is real, and it's not just sexual. right? The intimacy can feel just so vulnerable. And that is true about friendships. Like, I think there is a large level of vulnerability because you are talking about things that might be really deep and really serious and things that maybe you wouldn't tell just, an acquaintance at work or something like that. So you are putting a lot of effort and energy and attention and trust into a friendship. And when that ends, I mean, it's devastating. It's a true loss, which is why there is such grief around it.
Exactly. And grief is not just, when someone passes away, but it's that idea of loss, right? It's the idea of, I had something like this and I don't get to experience it anymore. And at the same time, friendships end for various reasons. And it's not like, I always like to compare it to romantic relationships of when you want to break up, or when you're not feeling it anymore, you have to like break up with your partner. You have to like have that talk, or I guess some people ghost, but if it's a, a long relationship, people typically talk about it.
Right.
And if you want to be with other people, you have to end that relationship. With friendships, it can fizzle out. People do get ghosted.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have other friends. It's not monogamous relationships. You can just have 100 friends, and it's it's appropriate. I don't know how deep those friendships would be,
or how you sustain those.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wouldn't have time for that. But it's definitely, it's so comparable and yet so different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can talk a little bit about like a personal experience that I had in high school.
Yeah.
And I think I was in, I wouldn't want to say like either 10th or 11th grade. And I had a best friend, someone that I did everything with. We were neighbors. We lived close together. And I genuinely, even to this day in my adulthood at 31 years old, don't really know what happened. It was someone that I spent like every day with. We vacationed together. We did everything together. We were together like every weekend. And I just know that she was a year older than me. So I guess if I was in 10th, she was in 11th, and so on and so forth. And it got to the point, I think it was like my junior year and her senior year, where we just stopped being friends. And I don't think that there was any like pivotal experience where something blew up. It just kind of happened, and she transitioned to college, and that was that. And she actually wound up writing me a letter, like a handwritten letter that was just like, I know that we're not friends anymore, and I love you, and I will always love you. I had great times with, like, it was like a breakup letter. And I just remember, I was so betwixt. When I was younger, I was so I was so confused by it. And I remember like we would sit in the cafeteria together, and then one day we just didn't sit in the cafeteria together.
Wow.
Yeah, it was heartbreking.
But nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
It was a fizzle.
It was just a fizzle. Yeah, it was a fizzle. And I don't think either of us ever hate each other. I don't think she's going to listen to this, but if she does, we still don't hate each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was so heartbreaking, though, for like 16, 17-year-old me, navigating through high school. But yeah, so I've definitely been on the receiving end of somebody just like not wanting to be friends anymore. And luckily she did it in a really sweet way. Wow. And like sent me a little mixtape. I mean, back in the day when you would like burn CDs.
Oh my gosh, I miss that. You keep all your CDs at the top of your car. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, in the little slots.
Yeah, the little slots. Oh, good times.
Yeah, or like in one of those like actual like notebooks of just like
Pokemon books. Cards of CDs.
Yeah. So it was like in a sweet way, but yeah, it just fizzled, and that was that. And it was very, very heartbreaking.
Well, you were, 16, 17 years old?
Yeah, probably around that age, yeah.
We like basically are existing at that time
for
of our
them,
life.
For our friends.
I
know.
That is so tough. Something that, when you tell that story, it reminds me of middle school and something that I always say is there is nothing meaner than a middle school girl. I will literally, if I see them on the street, I will run, like just cross the street. I'm terrified of middle schoolers.
Oh, no.
Because, I mean, we were both in middle school, and it's just like so many hormones, and we're just like, bah! Like I feel like we're chickens running with their heads cut off. But when I was in middle school, and even elementary school towards like 5th grade, where I was just being so many arguments, so much drama with my friends. You know, I was bullied a lot in middle school. There was so many hard times that it sort of shaped me into who I am now in relation to how I am in my friendships. And there was a lot of unlearning to do of like, I mean, and I kind of still do this with my closest friends, but it's almost to the point where we are so secure in our relationships that we do this, and even though it's maybe not the healthiest, we'll just be like, randomly we won't talk to each other for like a few days, and we'll just be like, hey, are you mad at me? And it's so funny because 9 out of 10 times, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point in our lives where we will tell each other. Yeah. Before that even gets to that point. Sure. But middle school me didn't know how to communicate that.
You're not supposed to, really. I mean, developmentally speaking, you don't really know how to effectively communicate in that way.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, there was no nothing that I could watch on TV or you know, whatever on my computer that could tell me. I had Icy Tower. Do you remember Icy Tower?
No. What is that?
Icy Tower. It was this computer game that you just played, and this guy just all right, guys, if anybody here knows what I'm talking about, please comment. Please let us know.
You and Leeor and I are only 2 years apart, but it really shines. You can really see the difference in those 2 years. They were pivotal technology 2 years, I guess.
Yeah, but you would think.
No, I mean, Sims, Roller Coaster Typhoon.
Yeah, of course.
Typhoon? I don't know. It was great, though.
It was I was building some sort of roller coaster.
Okay.
And with The Sims, I only built the houses. I couldn't play them.
Okay.
They would just drown in the pool.
Oh. Great. You're a wonderful caretaker.
I was never a caretaker. I was like, this kitchen's gotta look good. What is the cheat code? I need more money. And I don't have the cheat code in life, unfortunately.
Oh, God, if only.
We digress.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. In middle school, we don't really know how to be great friends, but we evolve and we learn. But it still sticks with us because I still have moments of oh my gosh, they didn't talk to me for this many, days, or they answered in this way, they must hate me. And, to get to this level in my life, and of course to be a therapist, and a lot of my friends are therapists, which I love. Right. It's so rewarding to have just good communication.
Yeah, for sure.
With my friends now.
Yeah. And have an understanding of, and I think that's one of the questions too as you get further down is how often you communicate with your friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for the most part, I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie 13?
13.
Oh,
maybe.
My gosh.
I'm so bad with names.
It's fine. It was back when I was 13. I think it came out. And
so I was 2.
Okay, our age difference isn't that intense.
I wasn't in America yet.
No, right. I'm trying to think of the actors' names, but there's escaping me
13.
Right now. Evan Rachel Wood, and then the other one, I can't remember her name 100%, but she was in Twilight.
Not 13 going on 30.
No. It's called 13. And it's a movie about being 13 and friendships. And I'm guaranteeing anybody who's listening to this who has seen that movie, the impact that had on you when you watch that movie. It is really intense, and it really highlights the intensity of being friends with someone in your preteen years, and the influence that they have over you, and how devastating a breakup can be, and drive people to do. Young kids to do some pretty intense things. Yeah. But like I said, my friendship breakup was pretty loving, and it sucked because I didn't understand why. But I know that some breakups can be really evil, right? Really terrible and really purposeful and with intent to hurt. So I think that, that's also different too, because breakups aren't always fizzling, although a lot of them are. Breakups are also just like an intimate relationship breakup or a significant other breakup can be messy, really messy.
I think when you're saying all of this, and I was just glancing over at our next question, which is just how to know if you can really trust them, which we will definitely go into. But if you have this really loving friendship for so many years, you share secrets, you share stories, you share intimate moments.
Yeah.
And then it's done.
Right.
what happens to all those secrets? What happens to all those stories? How do we know that they're kept safe, they're kept secure?
Yeah. So with that, with can I really trust my friends? I think that it really boils down to, unfortunately, you can't tell right away. You're not going to just know. I think it's a intuition, a gut instinct, and it takes time and proof, right? Like you have to give it time. You do have to give a little, see where that takes you, see how that feels, and continue to give. And over time, you'll see if it's something, if this person is someone who is trustworthy. And it sucks because you are putting yourself in a really vulnerable, scary spot of this person could potentially divulge that information to other people. Yeah. But you will never know if you don't try.
Right. And you can try slowly. You can throw little pieces out there, you know, tidbits of information that isn't so devastating if, you know, it went out there. But yeah, I think we also learn throughout the years, and I weirdly keep going back to middle school. Maybe
No, I think a lot of people could relate to that, though. Middle school, I can definitely, I can close my eyes and get right back there. So I think for a lot of people, that's relatable,
Right, and even high school of like just like learning that holding on to someone's you know, we're saying secrets, but just even stories or like if someone tells you something, you know, we don't have to just share it with everyone around us.
Right.
It's we go through life learning that, you know, the importance of being a vault. And as therapists, we are vaults, meaning we cannot, HIPAA does not allow us to tell anyone anything. And so I think that already we're just like, you tell us something, it stays with us, we die with it. The only human I guess the only human in the world that might know someone's secret would be my husband. But if one of my friends would be like, don't tell anyone, I don't tell anyone. I do tell my dog. I tell my dog. And he...
Wait, do you legitimately tell your dog?
Yes.
What?
He needs to know. I need to get it out. I need to get it out somehow. And he's
literally so funny.
Such a good listener. He might tell other dogs.
Oh,
so it might get back to like my friend's dog, for example.
Oh, boy.
It might. And, you know, then I have to explain myself. But other than that, if somebody tells me don't tell anyone, I don't tell anybody. But if someone's like, I don't care, like, just don't tell a lot of people.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Right. Yeah. But I think that brings up a point of like, you know, when somebody says don't tell anybody, I mean, you've seen like those TikTok videos where it's like, don't tell anybody. And then they're like, I'm not going to tell anybody. And then like their husband or their wife or their partner is like in the back, like, ha, 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 ha. Like, you know, like, so I do think that lends to like, if somebody says like, you know, don't tell anyone, what does that mean? If somebody says just don't tell X, Y, or Z, like, I don't care if you talk to your partner about it. So I think that's also like, you know, what's the boundary and line with that?
Yeah, because, and also, is your partner, are they trustworthy?
Yeah, right. Because if you tell your partner, then it's like, okay, are they going to keep that in the vault? But it is hard for, like, one person to hold bigger things. And sometimes it's like we do need the ability to process things, which is why I think having therapist friends, having supervision is really important because we do hold, as therapists, a lot of really deep things. And like when my husband asks me about my day, I'm like, it was fine, but you can't really say too much beyond that. So it is hard because, you know.
You can't. But if anybody's looking for someone to talk to, my dog does offer sessions.
He takes insurance.
Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Too good.
All right, so we got making friends in adulthood, moving to a new state, city as an adult, or just, you know, being an adult where you live and trying to make new friends.
It's hard.
What's your take, Leeor?
I mean, it's so hard because it depends where you move and with who you move, or if you're moving alone. Are you moving to a big city?
True, yeah.
Are you moving to a small town? Are you, you know, what do you enjoy doing? Can you use your hobbies as ways to form friendships?
Right.
Like, I don't know, yoga classes, workout classes, if you like pottery, or, you know, doing these things. But then it's are you okay going to these things by yourself?
Yeah. And this is, I can also tell you a story about this for me because used to live in Philadelphia and I had my people at my gym there. And then I moved into South Jersey as if it's like 75,000 miles away, which it's not. It's literally like 10, 15 minutes, but it's a bridge. So you have to pay a toll every time you go over. Right. So I was like, oh my gosh, I should probably try to find a new gym. And I found this all women's gym and I was like, oh my God, this looks so amazing. But I know that it can be tough because in the gym community, it's wonderful because typically you do have your group of people, like your clique. And I was like, I have to just go. I know I'm going to know no one. I know everyone's going to already have friends. I was, new into living in the area that I'm in now. And I did it. I signed up for the class. I was like, don't worry about it. You're going to make friends. It's okay. Like, you're just there for a workout. They don't have to, come rushing over to you. And so anyway, I went. And it was so true. Like, all my, thoughts were true in terms of going there, and everybody knew what they were doing. They were setting up their mat. They were setting up their weights. They were looking at the board and saying, oh, these are the exercises we're doing. Everything was an abbreviation. I was like, I have no idea what half these exercises are on the board. I've never been to, a CrossFit style class before. So, long story short, everybody had their friend groups, and it was just me, in this gym class. But what I will say is, that was my perception when I first walked through the door. I was like, shoot, this is exactly what my fear was. And then everything was laid to rest because I got in there. I think people could tell they'd never seen my face before. They were like, oh, hey, do you need help with X, Y, and Z? Do you know what this means? Do you know what that means? And I went there for literally years, and I'm still close friends with close friends with
my goodness.
So many of them. So I am living proof that you could do really scary things and have a wonderful outcome.
The gym culture, I think, is so different. And look, I don't work out. Last time I think I went to a gym was 2019.
Nice, solid.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah. I do workouts at home sometimes.
That's great.
But I totally understand what you like. If you've ever been to a gym,
it's scary.
It's so scary.
It's overwhelming.
When people know exactly what they're doing, especially those classes.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll go. My mom loves Zumba.
Cute.
And we used to Zumba.
So fun.
When I was in high school, even in college, I'd come home in breaks and we would Zumba together. And I would always show up and people would be like, oh, are you, say my mom's names, daughter? Oh my gosh, you look just like, is this your daughter?
Oh, okay,
and everyone would talk and be so nice. And my mom had her gym friends and I was just, but that was it. I mean, it stayed at the gym for my mom. But hearing that it can go outside of the gym and just that community.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think that's another good point is finding a community. Because I went to a yoga class and I tried so hard. I can talk to a wall. It doesn't matter. But I really connected with a lot of women that were in the class, and then I never went back. So yes, I couldn't, maintain those friendships. Yeah. But you have to sort of show up to these things.
Yeah. And you have to keep putting yourself in that spot of vulnerability because it could have potentially not worked for me that first time that I went, right? And then it's oh my God, nobody talked to me. Should I go back? I don't want to go back. That was embarrassing. But it's sometimes people don't come up to you right away. It might take you to go 2, 3, 4 times or before somebody says hey, I've noticed you around here a couple times. What's up? Where are you from? I just, I got fortunate in that way of somebody coming up to me and saying hey, let me show you the ropes. But if they didn't, I would still have to kind of figure out a way to continue to put myself out there to make new friends.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I think we had talked about before too, about making new friends. It's it's kind of like dating, right? I think there are apps for this. There are apps for
Bumble BFF.
Oh, didn't even know that. See, beautiful. So there are apps, which I know can feel awkward and confusing, but you got to remember that everybody's there for the same reason. They're all looking for friends. I know there are Facebook groups, and I know there are community things. The library. For me, when I first became a mom, I looked around for mommy and me groups because I was I have no idea what I'm doing. I need help. I need somebody to lean on. So I think it is a little. It's on us, right? And that can feel really daunting and scary to be I can't make new friends if I just stay in the house, right? I have to put myself out there and
effort.
Yeah, and it's kind of like dating.
It is like dating.
Some friends might not stick, and then some might.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when we were talking more about this in the lens of adulthood and like friendships in adulthood, and when we think about adulthood, alike when we were, children, young adults, whatever, we go through transitions all the time. And I think the transition in life right now that both you and I are experiencing is some of our friends having kids, babies, and some of us, some of them not, or maybe not wanting kids at all, or not yet. And that like shift and dynamic is, I think a lot of people talk about it. And I'm wondering, because I don't have any kids, and Maggie has a cutie little baby. And I'm curious, have you noticed anything or any thoughts on this?
Oh, sure. So this was a big one too that I think we both got this in our question box of growing apart. And I think what was that quote that you said? If you're not growing, what is it?
If you're not losing friends, you're not changing, or you're not growing or something.
Right, there you go. If you're not losing friends, you're not growing. And I know that sounds kind of tough to digest, but it's so true. Because in life, I say this all the time, I think it's really important to remember, in life, change is inevitable. It's expected, right? It's appropriate. You're supposed to change. And I think people do utilize that as like a negative, like, oh, you've changed. And I'm like, good. Right? Like, I'm glad. That means that I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm healing and all these things. I'm progressing in life. I'm not just staying stagnant like I was, still having the same thoughts, feelings, beliefs, or whatever as I was when I was 15, right? Like, it's good that I'm changing and growing. And that goes with life experiences as a whole. Like, the more of life that you experience, the more lessons that you learn, the more, things that you recognize, like, oh, this isn't actually a value of mine anymore. Right. So like when I had a baby, she is almost 18 months old. When I had a baby, so much of my life changed. So much of my effort and energy and my morals and values and things that I used to stress out about are now like, that is literally stupid. Right. So like so much changes, and definitely friendships change. Just the dynamics of them. So all of the friends that I have with children, I became closer to them because now you have a bond of motherhood, whereas I didn't have that, right, with friends that don't have kids. And that doesn't make one better or one worse. It's just a fact of life that even the acquaintances that I had from a place I used to work or from the gym or whatever, like, would then come to me and say, hey, I see you had a baby. What do you need? How can I help you? And then those kind of transformed from there. So definitely. And it's kind of like, it's no shade on anybody. It's just recognizing that there are certain things in life that if you haven't done it or been through it, it is hard to kind of fully understand it. Not that you can't empathize with it or validate it. It's just you haven't done it, right? So it is different. Like, I can't talk to somebody about waking up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever, who hasn't had to do that. Whereas I could talk to another mom that's like, yeah, this is freaking brutal. Right? Like, so I do think, yes. Long story short, friendships change when the things in your life change, when you go through big experiences.
No, I love that. That is so helpful. And I'm wondering if I can ask you a question that I think other people probably have the same one.
Shoot it to
I have
me.
Close people in my life, that are getting pregnant, they're having babies, they're transitioning into this new phase. And for somebody that, like you said, I can empathize with it, but you're right. The only times I've woken up that many times in the night is if like my dog.
Like, somebody's sick.
Oh my gosh, like that.
If
you have an animal, at like 3 a.m.
Oh no, don't do it. Some people don't like that sound.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
I'm gagging listening to it.
But how do you feel? And I think everybody is different, of course, but how can friends show up for other friends in this type of transition? So like, for example, when you originally had your baby, the first few weeks, first few months.
Oh yeah, the grind,
right. What do you think, I guess you needed from your friends, but also like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So like you said, I think every person who has a baby is going to be different. Every mother, every parent is going to be different. I think something that's really important to remember from the from the lens of the friend who doesn't have the baby, that it's not you.
Yeah.
That we're not talking to you because we don't want to talk to you. We're not reaching out and saying like, hey, come over, come meet my baby, because we don't want you to. For the most part, it's because we are drowning.
Yeah.
And especially if it's your first, I mean, I only have one, so I can't speak from the transition from 1 to 2, which is I know is a whole other ballgame, but I can speak from 0 to 1.
Yeah.
My life was flipped upside down. So whereas I was able to focus more on friendships and my, interpersonal relationships, I was surviving.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't thriving, I was surviving. Like every day was just trying to figure out how the hell am I going to make it through the next 24 hours and the next 24 hours. So my contact with my friends definitely on my part like dwindled. So I just think it's really important for people who don't have children to know that if that happens with your really close friend, that it's not you. It's just a huge transition of life, of trying to keep a whole other person alive and also healing yourself back to health. Right. Because it's not just one thing at a time. It's like all the things happening at one time.
Yeah.
So, so I just think that that's first and foremost. And then secondly, I think just asking, how can I help you? How can I best support you? Do you need time alone? Totally get it. Do you want me to come over? Totally will. Do you need food? Totally will. There are things you can just drop off if you want to. Yeah. But I just think, just checking in and respecting what mom or parent, needs or wants is big. And following through. So like if you're like, hey, I'm going to come over on Tuesday, like do that, and like giving mom the ability to, or, birthing person the ability to have support in whatever way they need it.
That's so amazing. And I think when you were saying that, I was just thinking about like friends that are, miles and miles apart. Mm-hmm. Now there's like Grubhub that you can just like order to their door, where they don't need to have, because I don't know about you, but it might change when I have kids, but I'm the kind of person that if somebody's coming to my house, the house needs to be like clean. It needs to be perfect. Like,
no.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I am sure it's going to change, but like I can imagine for some people it's not changing, and so like you said, having this transition and then also somebody coming over and you're like, but the house is a mess and this and that like having those things of like sending something over, even on Amazon, sending something to their house.
For sure. Yeah, which I have done for friends and family. It's like, that's a great thing to do, right? Giving them a gift card to get some food. Because some birthing people, some parents don't want company during the weeds of the thick of the, beginning of things. Right. And then some really do, right? Like some moms and, parents need the ability to shower, and like haven't been able to. So going over and holding the baby and saying, hey, do you need a shower? Do you want a nap? Those kinds of things that I think are also really supportive. But yeah, you're right. It could be actual quality time, and it can also be other things that can be really supportive. I think for me, the big thing was just emotional support. Just letting me cry and like yell and scream and vent about things. And just someone being on the receiving end, like, yep, just give it to me. That's fine. I will hold this for you.
It's like they're holding a punching bag for you.
Yeah, just hold my emotional punching bag for like 5 minutes.
So valid. I love that.
But yeah, I think that's like a big thing.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking. That's very kind. I know it's so hard because it's such a big difference between having children and not having children. And then sometimes I even think, and you could speak to this too on your end, because I do know that there is some judgment towards the motherhood community. It's like this private little exclusive club that so many moms are a part of, parents are a part of, that people without children are not a part of. And that can feel like, oh, am I less of a woman, or am I less of a caretaker? Am I less of a whatever? I fill in the blank because I don't have a kid. Yeah. So, that's on your end of things.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I hate being that mom that's like, oh, I can't do it, I have a kid. I can't do it, oh my God, like she's not napping or whatever. So that's a whole other side to explore.
Yeah, well, you have a living, breathing thing that it depends, 100% depends on you.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's always funny. Have you ever seen a baby giraffe being born?
Yeah. Wait, I actually literally have.
I always ask that question. People are like, what are you watching?
Yeah. No.
Okay, I'm so glad you're on my level.
They like just get up and run.
Yeah.
I know.
They're born standing.
I know. What the heck, man? We have to evolve. we have to do better.
We have to evolve. No, we evolved this way, actually. It didn't used to always be so like, because like human beings are born prematurely. I mean, yes. So we like babies need us. Like they can't just survive. They're not baby giraffes that can just like walk around on their own. Like giraffes are crazy. If you need to check it out, seriously, like YouTube it.
Watch a baby giraffe being born, and then get really mad because like, why didn't my baby be born being able to run around and eat on its own? And
I don't know,
take care of
maybe
itself.
that'd be a pretty scary baby.
I know. Oh my god.
All right,
What's next?
do you stay friends with someone just because of how long you've known them? Why do we remain friends, right? We have that fear of loneliness, loyalty, fear of confrontation.
Yeah.
We want to feel needed, valuable.
Yep.
We oftentimes concentrate on the honeymoon phases of our friendships.
Yeah. It really sounds like a romantic relationship. It's so interesting how similar they are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I've been with this person for 7 years or 6 years or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to start over kind of like mentality and all the things that we've been through. And I think, it's hard because, in my personal life, even with, friends, family, clients, like there are people that have friends where it's like, I've been friends with them for 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think we match anymore. I don't think we fit anymore, but I feel obligated because I've known them since I was 7 or however old, since we were babies. We grew up together. And there's this sense of obligation of just staying friends because you've been friends for so long.
Right. And even like when we think about that, whether that's the fizzle or there was like a huge fight and, to end the friendship, having those like honeymoon moments of like, that song, I forget who sings it, but it's like, when it's over, that's time I fall in love again.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. That's bringing me back.
Who sings that?
Oh, God. Is it Sugar Ray?
Sugar Ray! Wow, we're doing throwbacks today. But, guys, I can't sing. I can't believe I did that. But
I think you actually nailed it. I totally got it.
Full pitch. But the point is that, like, when we end something, we oftentimes think about all those good memories, right? When it's over, that's the time I fall in love again.
Yeah.
And having those, like, we were friends with that person for a reason. And so having those memories flash back, you're like, should I, like, continue this friendship? Like, oh my gosh, maybe I made a mistake. But reminding yourself that, there was a reason why it fell apart, why it fizzled, why, and in time, you might be able to be friends again, but it sounds like there's probably a break that was really needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is really important to remember. I think, again, kind of going back to what we said before, like, you're going to change in life. You're expected to change in life. And what that means is, like, if you fundamentally change, then the relationships around you are also going to fundamentally change. Leeor just knocked her knee on the desk. So that was that reverb you just heard. But yeah, as you change, the things around you also change. Like the relationships around you also change.
Exactly. And I'm sort of going to just read this off because I wrote it down and I just love it.
Yeah,
but the types of friendships.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are so many more types, but these were just kind of like the few. I think there was like 4 of them that I really just not related to. I don't think I could be everything. But that I really felt like I've experienced throughout my friendships, and like even myself have been one of these or a few of these. Sure. So we have this selfish but charming friend, which is very possessive. They're angry when things don't go their way. Right? So that's a tough one.
That's really tough, yeah. Because then that kind of leads into like the boundaries with friends.
Right.
Like what happens when you give more than you take, or if someone, takes more from you, right. And just wants from you. And like what I think of in relationships, it's like you're not necessarily going to have a healthy relationship if there's not reciprocity.
Absolutely.
Give and take on both ends. And I think so many people are uncomfortable with taking, right? But also too much giving leaves you on E.
Exactly.
So it's tough.
There's also, when you say that, I always think about what I say to my couples is a relationship is not 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20 and sometimes it's 30-70. And it's not that we have to give the same amount at the same time, but that we know that when we need that friend, they're going to be there for us the same way that we were there for them.
100%. Yep. That's exactly right.
So the frenemy. The frenemy is jealous, they gossip, hard to trust them, often trying to sabotage your happiness. They try to increase your reliance on them so that they have control. This one is scary.
Yeah, definitely scary because I think this kind of lends to like, a little bit of manipulation.
Right. Gaslighting.
And that's really hard to see through, I think, when you're in the weeds of it. Like, if you're in that friendship, it's hard to say, like, and that kind of lends to, like, you know, is this person trustworthy?
Right.
But it's hard because, you know, you might feel really, like you said, like, reliant on them because maybe you've known them for a long time, or because you have had really good experiences together, and it's hard to say, like, where your line is when it's time to end that relationship.
Yeah. Exactly. The negative and complaining friend. Never seems happy, always gets you in for the talks. The talks. Because they always find a reason for you to be, or for them to be mad at you. And they can be friendly, but can be passive aggressive, emotionally draining to be around them. The talks is always so scary.
Yeah.
Like, having the talks, I think, like, obviously, if your friend had upset you and you want to have a talk with them, like 100%, that's so valid and so normal. But if you are constantly having the talk with a friend, you know, that friend might not be a good fit for you.
Yeah, and I think we had talked about before, Leeor, you and I, like, that when somebody cancels plans, I think you had said something that I think is really important to look at, is that if a friend cancels a plan, that friend has the right to feel that, to be upset by you canceling. Right. And you have the right to cancel.
Exactly.
Right? So, like, both people are valid there.
Yeah.
And that's hard to navigate too, because the person who's canceling is like, don't be mad at me. And the person who has been canceled on is like, I'm trying not to be a jerk. Shouldn't be using this language. I'm trying to keep it PG. I hope that doesn't get flagged.
Assignment. Assignment.
That's what I was saying. You know, so the person who gets canceled on is like, I don't want to be a jerk and say, like, you can't cancel. However, my feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, but there's a difference between people being hurt for valid reasons versus someone who's always kind of looking for something to be upset with you for.
Exactly.
So that's like a big difference. And that could be so draining. Like, I know you said that, but like super, super, super draining to have a friend who is continuously complaining about your friendship, or that you're not putting enough effort in, because there's also like, where is the validation of maybe that person is going through something, or like a really big change or a really tough time. And like you said, relationships are not always 50-50. If that person is going through something, then maybe you need to give 80 right now for your friend to, you know, only have to do the 20%.
Exactly.
Contingent on what they're going through.
I love that. And I think one of the questions we have down below is, how similar do friends have to be and how different, which we'll probably get to. But I think that you know, lends a hand in understanding, you know, maybe we are too different. And like, that is why we're not meshing, and we continue, you know, having these talks where it's just like, hey, we're just two different people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then what's the last one?
Overly dramatic. So they steamroll you, never listen when you tell them your issue, but expect you to listen to them, interrupt, cut you off, require your energy, but never come through for you. Crave attention, but are charming. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And no diagnosis to people who relate to this one, but it kind of sounds a little bit like narcissism.
Yeah, it does. It does, because they have this like energy that you're
charismatic. You gravitate.
Exactly. Yeah. But then they like hook you in, and then
they're a butthead.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, the steamrolling you, I think, can feel really hard for friends, where it's like, I'm always listening to them, but I don't ever really feel heard.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Again, like, people, this is what's really important to recognize, is that friendships are not just like these they can be, I guess, like these surface level experiences, but for a lot of people, they're really deep and they're really intimate. And these things, you know, can feel really hurtful and intense. You know, just like looking over these, it's like, I don't want to feel any of these ways, like within my friendships. And I hope that I'm not any of these people, but recognizing that, you know, nobody's a perfect friend.
No.
You know, obviously, I think nobody's a perfect human being. But to like recognize these things within ourselves and within others, I think is important to grow and change. And
right. And just like anything, sorry, as I steamroll you.
No, you're overly dramatic friend.
I think what I said earlier, when I was like, you know, I related to a few of these. I related to, I have had times in my life where I felt that I could relate to some of these from these types of friendships, not necessarily just one of them.
Sure.
But like, have I cut someone off? Yes. Have I had the talk with a friend? Yes. Does that mean that I'm this like negative person?
Right.
No, this is kind of like a more of a generalization, I think, and we learn from these and we grow.
Right.
And what's not listed here is the amazing types of friendships.
Yes, exactly.
That are communicative and they're understanding and validating and there for you, but also tell you how it is. And I think that what I love about Maggie and I's dynamic is that we're so honest, but like if we upset each other for some reason, we're like, hey, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Or like, you know, this and that, or we check in with each other. And it's just so authentic and transparent that I think is also what makes a good foundation for a friendship.
I completely agree. You have to be okay with sometimes saying things that your friend might not like, and how to navigate that together, I think is so difficult. However, it is so pivotal to cultivate like a good, healthy, genuine relationship. Right. Like there are going to be things that Leeor says to me like, Mag, you know, I can't X, Y, or Z, or I don't have time to X, Y, and Z. And I have to say, okay. Right. You know, like I hear you. Like what can we do? Because I don't have time for it either. So how do we, like, you know what I mean? Like how do we navigate that together? So I think in adulthood, as I'm getting older, and you can obviously comment on this too from your perspective, but as I'm getting older, I kind of just feel like in my life, growing up, like I've done enough of the, like, do I conform? Do I not? Do I say yes when I want to say no? Like, do I want this person to like me for who they need me to be or for who I really am? And as I'm getting older, I'm recognizing like I just have to be who I am. And then the people that like me will like me because of just me, right? Rather than like who I have to put on for them. So you do that with me, which is amazing. Like you accept as I am, all my quirks, all my anxieties, all whatever, like, you know, my crazy experience in motherhood of crap. Oh my God, I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad.
Why am I so good at coming up with some random?
That's literally so good. I'm so bad. Listen, the only reason we're trying to keep this PG is so we don't get flagged on some platforms. And like, I don't have a PG mouth. So this is really, really hard for me. This is a skill I am learning. So be patient, loving, and kind. But yeah, so Leeor does that with me. She is great with accepting me as I am.
Well, I think that was exactly, I fully agree with that. And that goes to the idea of, do we have to be similar or different from our friends?
Yes.
I think it doesn't matter. Yeah, like the morals and values need to be the same. But I think that you might be on a different level, but you and I are very similar.
Yes.
And the things that you find are like quirks or you know, like you said, maybe other people do, I like love. I'm like, yes, please, like take control, like do this, like get the ice cream with me. Oh my gosh, that was the best. Like finding somebody that's on the same level as you is so just, it's amazing. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that like somebody that's different than you isn't going to be a good fit either.
Right.
A lot of my friends are very different than me, and we just sort of mesh and we challenge each other, right? They challenge me to be a little bit more relaxed, go with the flow. Yep. I challenge them to make plans.
Yep.
But no, I fully agree with you.
No, absolutely. One of my closest friends is so different than I am. Super go with the flow, super positive all the time. Like, obviously, you know, time and a place for all those things. But, you know, for the most part, she lifts me up. Like, she makes me feel like, you know, I don't have to think so seriously all the time, and that's helpful for me a lot of times. And that kind of lends to, you know, not every friend is perfect for every situation, right? Like I will go to her if I need to be like knocked out of my sadness box, right? Like I'm not going to necessarily go to her if I need to be able to complain, because I think she's, you know, you might be like, I'm not in the mood for like the positivity right now, right? And like you might have friends that you're like, they love to dance. This awesome like new dance club just opened up. I'm going to ask them to go. I'm not going to ask Sally to go, who doesn't like to dance, right? And like I think that that's really important, that you might not have one friend that fits everything you want to do, but you might have a couple friends that they all like different things and you connect on different things, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, for us, it's like we were both used to in school being the one who spearheaded all the group projects.
Oh, yes.
Right. So like neither one of us knows what it feels like to be able to wipe your hands and be like, wait, I can actually trust this other person to do these things, when I'm so used to having to be the one that does it all, the front runner. So for both of us, we're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? Like, But I think over time we're realizing like, wow, I can actually trust this other person to follow through and do that. So we're always navigating new things in relationships.
Always. Yeah. That is so funny. I love those examples. And the next question about communication.
Yes.
Is how are we communicating with our friends? Are we texting? Are we calling? Are we FaceTiming? How often should we be communicating? The different styles of communication. I think it depends.
Yeah. Again, I think this is like phases and changes and stages of life because, again, like before I started a family, I was much more able to chat and talk and FaceTime and call. And now it's like a little bit more sporadic. I still absolutely love doing those things because it gives me that sense of self, again, to be able to chat with my friends in that way. But I don't always have the ability. And so, it definitely changes. And I think you kind of get to determine that with your friends, right? And like every friend might require or want something different. You might have some friends that are like, I'm in the same boat as you. Once a month if we chat, that's great, right? And then you might have other friends that are like, I don't hear from you enough. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can commit more than like twice a week of like calling or something like that. So there isn't like a right or wrong on this. It's just what can you mutually agree on? Like what flows and feels best for the both of you.
So I have a question.
What's up?
How do you feel about random calls from friends? Like out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Like you weren't texting and the friend's like, hey, I'm going to give you a call.
I guess it depends on the friend.
Yeah, it's true.
Some I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, crap.
Oh, Shih Tzu assignments.
Shih Tzu assignment. What happened? So it depends. It really depends. I'm so happy if I can answer. I'm like, yay, I can talk, but it depends. I guess it would probably be true for a lot of people, right? Like, depending on who's calling you, I would assume.
Yeah, like, what is this about?
Yeah,
for sure. Me, is this the talk?
Oh, no.
Oh, that would be... Well, now there's, like, voice memos.
I love those. Those are great.
Oh, my gosh.
Those are great.
Those get you off guard, too.
Yeah.
You're like, do I listen to it now? Like, I'm outside. Like, what do I do with this?
I know. And, like, I know, like, it's tough because it also lends to, like, I think, like, just thinking about communication and texting and stuff, group chats.
Yeah.
Like, when there's multiple people in a chat and multiple people in a friend group.
They make me so anxious.
Oh, gosh.
Because I have to respond to people.
Yeah.
But people in group chat do not respond.
I know. It's tough. It's tough. Or they're planning things and, like, they're, like, 50,000 threads above you and you're like, oh, my God. Like, I'm so lost in this conversation.
Yeah. Like, if you're, like, in sessions back to back and then you come back and you're like, 47 text messages.
Yeah. And then being okay with, like, your other friends doing things together and, like, you not being able to make plans, like, be able to commit to that. And, but like we were saying, friendship isn't necessarily monogamous. So your friends can have other friends.
Yeah, they can.
I think that's a tough pill to swallow for some people.
It is. We've all been there where our best friend becomes best friends with somebody else.
Right.
It's hard. It's another loss in a way, right? Or does it have to be?
Yeah, I know, for sure. And then, just kind of thinking, I think one of the last things we have on here is attachment style differences. So talking about navigating friends and family relationships and what happens when your friends or your family don't like your friend. I mean, what happens what does it say? What happens when you don't like your friend's significant other?
Ooh, I made a post about this one time because this is a topic that we're just throwing away attachments because this is juicy.
Okay. But attachment another day.
But when you don't like your significant others, your friend's significant. Wow, that is a hard thing to read.
To wrap your head around. Yeah.
Friend's significant other. It's tough because, I'm curious what you guys are thinking first. Like, do I get to tell them or do I not? My thought on this is, if your friend is in a dangerous relationship and there's abuse, neglect, all of the really, really scary, difficult stuff, I think it's very appropriate to come to your friend and tell them your concern or be there for them in all these different ways. If the partner was I always
oh no
I wanted to say like was an adulterer, but why am I speaking so like
an adulterer?
Scarlet letter.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly where my brain went. Yeah, so glad yours did too.
Cheated. Yes, I can say it here.
Yes.
Then like, is it okay to tell your friends, hey, I'm worried about this relationship? I think there are times where it's very appropriate, and there are times where there are other ways to help your friend identify if that person is the right relationship partner for them, because it's not really up to us.
Yeah, I know. It's
who
a
our
tough
friends
thing.
date.
You can't control anybody else's behaviors.
No.
All you can do, and this is what I try to say for even myself in my personal life, because I've definitely had friends in that experience of not being with someone who is safe or healthy for them.
Yeah.
And so just to be supportive and let them know how you feel, you know, that you have fears, you have concerns for their safety, that you don't think that it's healthy. And then all you can really do is say, I'm here to support you if you choose to leave. Right. You know, if you want to get authorities involved, if it's something like that, just be supportive and let them know that this is your stance. I think for some people that's really hard to do because you just want to, like, you know, you love them. You want to just take them out of the situation, but you can't. Because, I mean, this is a topic for another day, but abusive relationships, they're so much deeper than just, you know, just leave, just, you know, walk out the door.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, from a friendship standpoint, all that you can really do is try to encourage and remind them that they're worth more, that you're there if they need you, and, you know, hope for the best, really.
Yeah, and take that, like, therapist perspective of, like, helping them identify what it is that they really want and if that partner really matches those things.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I know. So I think we got to everything, Leeor.
Good session.
I know.
This is a long one.
I want everyone to know that, you know, we want to hear your feedback on this. We want to know, like, how do you feel about friendships and what we covered and all the types of friendships, and you know, so give us your feedback. We definitely want to have this be collaborative and have conversations around this. What did we miss too? Because we can always do friendships number 2.
Oh yeah.
All about friendships number 2.
I think we will have to do friendships number 2 because I don't actually think we got into everything, but this is such a big topic and something that so many people can relate to.
I know.
But we will leave you guys a little bit betwixt.
Word of the day.
Be twizzled.
Be snickered.
I'm not even going there
anymore. Be Kit-Katted.
Ooh, what's your favorite candy bar?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I don't know. It's not a candy bar, but I love Reese's.
Well, that's like a candy bar.
A candy
bar.
I know, and I'm such a loser because I love Tootsie Rolls. I know. I'm 77 years old. I know, but I do. I really do love Tootsie Rolls. Like the big, thick ones that they give on what was I going to say, Christmas, on a Halloween.
Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
I'm sorry.
Like the chocolate flavored ones, like those ones?
Regular Tootsie Rolls. Oh. No, not the other ones. The flavored candy, the fruity flavored ones. No,
both. No. All the above is.
All right, so I probably just lost a few thousand followers. That's fine.
There must be something going on there.
Like, all Maggie does is, like, read books, complain about being a mom, and love Tootsie Rolls. She's an old lady.
No, it's okay. I think everyone has their own taste buds, and, like, I love those, like, seaweed snacks. You know what I'm talking about? You love seaweed. Yes. At Trader Joe's, you never had a seaweed snack?
No, I've never had a seaweed snack.
You like sushi?
I do.
So you just, like, you can either just munch on them, or you can, like, put rice in them and, like, roll them up and just eat them.
Fun.
Oh, my God, they're so good.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Leeor.
You too.
All right, we will see you all for session number 3.
Love you guys.
Bye.
If you'd like to be a part of our community, ask us questions, be involved, laugh your tuchus off, and enjoy some hand-drawn art, don't hesitate to follow us on our socials, both Instagram and TikTok, at Therapy Gal for me, Leeor,
and at Therapy with Maggie LPC for me, Maggie, and our shared Instagram at Therapist Out of Office. Write a review, follow, subscribe, check us out on YouTube if you want to watch, listen to our podcast on most major platforms. We cannot extend our gratitude enough. Thank you all for being here and for being a part of this. We love you!